Hello everyone, welcome to Evolution Hypnotherapy. We're back again with more testimonials, but this one's a very special and unique one because not only do I have my incredible client here, I actually have his wife who's going to also speak to how much the therapy impacted her life vicariously through her husband's experience. So I'm very, very excited to share this, and it also lets you know that the effect that hypnotherapy has on the individual goes well beyond just the individual, and you get to see that for yourself today. So.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. So, Tom, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
I've never felt, I don't remember the last time I felt so good.
Love hearing that. And I've seen such a progression in you and an evolution really in your whole energy from the first time you came in until the end. You completed all the 10 sessions, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, people mention that they see a change in me. I don't know if I'm really bringing across a change, but I do feel better. There are just so many changes in my life now that it's funny where I used to whistle all the time, and my son grew up. He never knew what tune I was whistling, but I was always whistling, and that has been gone for several years. And now my wife mentioned that my whistle's back.
I know.
And I'm dreaming again, and just life is good. Life was good, but it's so much better now.
I'm so happy to hear that, but I have to speak to the whole whistle thing because I remember seeing your wife, Sue,
Yes.
seeing her one day, and she just calls out to me in the middle of the hallway and says, "You made my husband whistle!"
And you did. Nancy, you did. And you know, it's one of those things that you don't know it's been missing. You just know things have changed. And you don't know what it's missing until it comes back. And all of a sudden, I was in the kitchen and I heard him whistling, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's whistling. He was happy. He was really happy, and it wasn't any outside stimulus. He was in a room and he was whistling. It was great.
It's such a symbolic thing, that whistling, and I just feel like I just want to put it on my business card. Just make your husband
You
whistle.
should. You should. You really
That's one of the greatest things I've ever heard. So tell me about when you originally came in, and tell me if you feel like it was what you expected and what things you didn't expect, just about your experience overall.
Well, I wasn't sure what to expect because, you know, you're thinking, okay, hypnotherapy, is she going to stand there with a stopwatch and, you know, hypnotize me, and all of a sudden going to start barking and chasing cars, things like that.
Right.
Just, you know, how your mind goes. But I wanted to lose weight.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this would be a good way. Maybe you could hit my subconscious, and that would trigger some things, so it would help. So after talking with you, we really came about it. Before we can even get to the weight loss, you really need to be happy with yourself, be in love with who you actually are before you can really move forward, because the weight that I had gained was only a side effect of who I truly was. And in the first couple of sessions, I was amazed, the negativeness of my self-conscious that I didn't even know existed came out. I couldn't believe I came out, and I was so emotional I was crying, which is not generally me, but it gave me such a happy feeling to remove this. I think from that point forward, I fell in love with myself again. I had belief in myself again, and because of that, I'm now able to move forward on losing the weight. And, you know, at the same time, I was excited. I couldn't wait to leave and then call Sue on the phone and just tell her what was happening. It's just, there are so many things in my life now that are so much more positive. Even, as you had mentioned, I'm giving off a more positive aura. I have my little granddaughters, even though I know they love me, but they're coming up and just kissing me on the arm or on the leg or sitting with me. And I'm thinking, maybe they're doing that now more so because of what I'm projecting to them.
Right.
Don't know, don't care, just absolutely loving it.
Right. So you said so much, and they're like beaming inside right now. But so you came in, like you said, for the weight loss, and then we discussed through the consultation. A lot of people don't recognize that the weight is typically a byproduct of something emotional, and a lot of men, and I don't want to just stereotype or generalize, but
Sure.
they don't see that aspect of it. So I'm glad that we were able to kind of go through that together in the consultation. And you were open. I know that this was something that you weren't coming in and saying, I'm actively pursuing a hypnotherapist and I believe in hypnotherapy, but you were open to whatever came out of it. So that was good. You don't necessarily have to fully understand what hypnotherapy is, you just have to believe. And you came in with that belief, so that was great from the get-go.
Well, and when you and Sue had talked about it, I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't go online, I didn't check anything. I just, let's go with the flow and see what happens. I know that I'm overweight and I want to lose some, so if it works, fantastic. Hopefully it'll work, but in the end, I know that it's still up to me, that I still have control of it. Yes and no. Not realizing or not ever paying attention to my subconscious. Right. That it's my subconscious that's really controlling, and once you get your subconscious into a more positive note, it's driving positive events.
Beautiful.
I wanted to just share a story too, because the joke is, Tom is your typical, no offense to any engineers out there, but kind of that engineering personality and a little bit more of a hands-off. And he and I, in our relationship, I don't ever doubt how much he loves and cares about me, but he's not a real affectionate person, openly affectionate. And the joke with many of our friends and some of his former employees is he's not a hugger. So, you know, women would always, we kind of joke about, okay, this is just a pretend hug because he's just not comfortable with that. But lately, Tom, what did you just say to somebody recently about, oh, I'm now a hugger?
Well, I had an interview.
A whistler and a hugger.
No, it helped me with that too.
But on a more serious note, the ability that you have to connect with people on a deeper level, as opposed to kind of just a superficial, very formal level, how does that feel?
I'm much more comfortable now, more at ease, because it's like before, oh, I'm afraid I might mess up, or I might say something wrong, or I might, mispronounce something. And now it's like, oh well, life goes on, and if I'm not going to get bugged up over something, that's trivial.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that the lack of expression and affection and all that doesn't come from not being a hugger. It's rooted from an insecurity. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it takes a lot of courage to say what you're saying right now. People mask it and they say, well, it's not something I'm comfortable with.
Right.
The people who are not comfortable with it are not comfortable with themselves. And you've gotten to see that through this journey. And I think that, to me, was like an epiphany. Because even when I first met you, you told me I'm not a hugger, and I'm like, come here, give me a hug, and after the consultation, but I see the difference, and I've only known you for this period of time. I can imagine how the people around you feel.
I can only go with what Sue is telling me and the actions of my granddaughters, and I think that's enough. I am very pleased, I'm very happy, because it's the innocent of babes that they know, out and out. And I love now where they're both just sitting on my lap and they're just, doing whatever, but they're sitting with me instead of just automatically going to Nana.
Right.
Nancy, if I can just say something, I was thinking about this, and I thought, what's a good way to talk about what you've done, what this has done? And I thought, babies are born just so pure with this beautiful soul and, ready to take on everything that life gives you. And then scar tissue can build up. And I think the best way to say what you have done for us is you've gotten through that scar tissue into that soul again. And so you let him be who he was and who he is meant to be. And you went through all those scars and you took them away. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Thank you for doing this, really. I'm just...
I feel the same way. It really is what you do. You peel it back and peel it back.
Schedule your consultation. It's free. I'd love to meet you. And you can reach me at 313-898-1999.